Hi, I hope you're having a good day. Before we get started, make sure that you checked the evens on the review sheet with the answer key that I posted. Also, did you send me pictures of pages 3 and 11 from your 14 packet? If not, you need to go to the Assignments tab on the right side of the Emoto page, click on the assignment, and attach the photos. Make sure that you get this done by the end of the day today. Today we're going to work on a few questions from the review sheet. So turn to question 19 in the review sheet. Question 19 is talking about a rocket that's being launched from the ground in a parabolic path. They give you the equation y equals negative x squared plus 10x. We know that it's a parabola because it has an x squared in the equation. At the same time, a flare is being launched from a height of 10 feet in a straight path. We know that this is a line because this is going to be x to the first power. Now, in order to do this, the first thing you need to do for A is graph the equations represented by the path of the rocket and the flare. You will need to take and make a table of values for both the rocket and the flare. Then you need to set up an appropriate scale on your XY axis. The XY axis, the bottom, is going to be time, and your y-axis is going to be your height. Pause the video now and make a table and plot both the parabola and the line. Once you made your table of values, you did have to make a scale for this question. If you look at your x's, your largest x values on both of them are 10. So on your x-axis, it needed to go at least as big as 10, so I did every box as 1. Your largest y value is 25, so obviously on the right there are not 25 boxes, so I counted every box as 2. Then you would take and plot the points. Do not forget to label the parabola y equals negative x squared plus 10x, and to label the line y equals negative x plus 10. Now the questions that go with this, for part B, they ask to find the coordinates of the point or points where the paths intersect. The line and the parabola intersect at 2 points. You can see that on the graph. You can also see that on the table where you have 1, 9 in both of the tables, and you also have 10, 0. Since they want it as a coordinate, do not forget to put in parentheses 1, 9 and 10, 0. Now for part C, they're specifically asking you to what time, being x, will they be at the same height. That means what are the x values when they intersect each other. So where you have 1, 9, they only want the x value, so x equals 1. And the other intersection point is 10, 0, so your x value is x equals 10. For the next question, they're asking at what time, being x, does the rocket reach its highest point? The highest point is going to be at the vertex, which is 5, 25. It's going to be at the top of the parabola, is the vertex, and since they're asking for time, the time would be where x equals 5, or in this case, 5 seconds. E, how high did it go? Again, the highest point would be talking about the vertex, and the height would be your y value, so y is equal to 25. So the highest point would be 25 feet. For part F, the initial height of the flare, the initial height is where it touches the y-axis, which is going to be at 10 feet. You can also look at the equation, negative x plus 10, and your initial height is going to be the same thing as your y-intercept, which is the initial height. So be sure to answer all of the questions fully. Look at question number 20. Question number 20 is asking, when will they have the same amount of money? After how many weeks, X, do they have the same amount of money? And explain, meaning you're going to have to take and write a sentence for this. In order to be the same, you would have to take and set the equations equal to each other, giving you x squared minus x minus 6 equals 2x minus 2. Since this is a quadratic, being an x squared, you would need to take and set this equal to 0, so minus 2x from both sides, x squared minus 3x minus 6 equals negative 2. Add the 2 to both sides, so x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Now from here you do have a few options on how you want to solve it. You can either factor, this is going to be trinomial factoring, two numbers that multiply to negative 4 and add to negative 3, or you could choose to do the quadratic formula. On this one, I'm going to take and factor it, make a t-chart, x minus 4 equals 0, add the 4, so x equals 4, x plus 1 equals 0, minus the 1, so x equals negative 1. Since again the question is only asking for the x value, how many weeks, your answer is going to be 4 weeks. You do need to take and put a line through x equals negative 1 and write the word reject. The reason you need to reject it is because you cannot have negative weeks, which is why the answer that they're looking for would be 4 weeks. Now, this question does not actually specify that you have to do it algebraically. So if you decided to do it on the calculator, you can, and in order to get full credit, you would need to take and write down y1 equals x squared minus x minus 6, y2 equals 2x minus 2, second, trace intersect, and then you would write down your solutions of negative 1, negative 4, and 4, 6. Since they're only looking for the x values, your x's would be negative 1 and positive 4. Since you can't have negative weeks, you would reject the negative 1, and your answer would turn out to be 4 weeks. Also on the calculator, you could have chose to write down your table of values as well, where you would show the intersection point, negative 1 with the negative 4s, and 4 with the 6. And again, since you can't have negative weeks, your answer then would have to be 4 weeks. So for this one, you can decide to do it either algebraically or graphically on the calculator to get full credit. Now you do have to take and write a sentence before you're done with the question, since it does say to explain. So depending on which way you solved it is going to determine your sentence. So if you did it algebraically, you would be writing down, to solve, I set my equations equal to each other, equal, set them equal to 0, factored, and solved for x. Or, if you did it on the calculator, you would say, I typed into my calculator y1 equals, y2 equals, second trace intersect, and I got my X value of 4 weeks. So your sentence is going to vary depending on which way you chose to solve it. And the last question we're going to work on the review sheet is question number 21. Question number 21 is asking you, the graph below shows two functions, f of x and g of x. State all values of x when f of x equals g of x. Now this means where do they intersect? So on your graph, circle that point first. And there is only one intersection point right here. Now make sure that you are looking at the scale, because although it's 3 boxes up, you're going to notice a 1 there, and that is the coordinate 0, 1. X is 0 and y is 1, so be careful with the scale. And since the question is specifically asking you for your x value, make sure that you write down x equals 0 for your answer. They are not asking for the y, so just state your x. Tonight for homework, you're going to be doing the review sheet, numbers 2 through 18 evens, and check it with the answer key. Your Unit 14 assessment will be tomorrow on Delta Math, so please make sure you know how to use the Delta Math website. Don't forget that the optional IXL assignment is due on Friday. Have a wonderful Wednesday.